What is up, ladies and gents? Welcome back to another episode of Action Sunday. We're winding down the last few weeks of 2022, so I'm gonna try to end this year with a bang. But folks, before I go any further, my original plan was to end the year with a couple of Dolph Lundgren movies, but of course, as you know, next Sunday is Christmas, so normally I wouldn't, but since there was a death in my family, and I had kind of pushed some of these movies because of that, I've decided for the first time ever, I'm going to be dropping a Christmas-themed episode on Christmas. So, what movie? Well, you'll have to wait and see, okay? Wait until the end of this review, all right? But anyway, let's talk about this week's movie. I wanted to review a Dolph Lundgren movie, and of course, there's a whole lot that I still have to see. So, I went back into my big, long checklist and queue of all these movies that I had. And of course, I had to figure out, okay, which ones have I not seen? And apparently, this movie has been in my queue the longest, and the reason for it is because I haven't had the chance to. So finally, after having this in my queue for practically almost 4 years, I finally got to watch it. And this movie is called Command Performance. Not only does it feature Dolph Lundgren also wrote the story and directed this movie. And it also features his daughter in this movie. I bet you all did not know that, all right? So yeah, if anybody has never seen this movie, well, you're in for a treat because when I first read the plot and saw this, I was like, wait a minute, this seems vaguely familiar. And of course, how appropriate I picked this movie for the holiday season, even though it's not really a Christmas movie, but borrows a similar formula from a certain Die Hard movie, if you know what I mean. But anyway, Command Performance, the plot is really cool, really interesting. So, it follows a drummer played by Dolph Lundgren. His band is playing in Russia it's a bit of a charity concert, and of course he's like an opening act for part of this big long ass charity concert with this very special pop star named Venus, played by Melissa Malerno, who also is an accomplished singer and actress herself. So yes, now I got the stage set. So I'm essentially saying it's a Die Hard movie at a concert in Russia. Yeah, I feel like a little on the nose here concerning what's been going on in the world. But hey, but the real plot is what happens in this movie. So what happens is, all of a sudden, as the concert's going on, and Dolph Lundgren's putting on a good show, all of a sudden, they're not terrorists, they're rebels that essentially take that hijack the concert. They take over and essentially hold the Russian president hostage. And there's a legit reason why. Like they go so far to explain like who are these two people? Why is there a vendetta against him? And there was an opening scene that really kind of sets the tone. It's like it's a flashback to this coup that happened in the 90s. You probably heard about it, the real story that really did happen with Gorbachev and all that. Well, apparently it was a failed coup. There was one. So they decided to take something from a real life event that actually happened and kind of incorporate it into the story, which I thought was a really good touch. Good on you, Lundgren. I kind of like that. You know, hey, shows it that we all still love the 80s kind of thing. But anyway, so yeah, now you got the whole gist and some of the cast. Like, is it good? I found myself to be very entertained, but although there are moments in the movie that maybe just go, I've seen this kind of saying before. I know it's kind of bland, but hey, there's some really great fights and there's some gruesome deaths. And of course, you're probably wondering, wait a minute, how does Dolph Lundgren play it? Well, like I said, Dolph Lundgren is a musician. He's a drummer. In fact, in real life, he is a real drummer, folks. He does play in a band. Look it up. But here's the thing: the actual band that's in the movie is not his band itself. It's a makeshift band of some actual musicians, as well as they use a song from an actual band called D2, which, by the way, it's still on iTunes. Look them up. And their hit is from this movie, and that's the only reason why they're famous is because of this movie. So, but yeah, so now that you got all that and some of the cool, interesting, it's like, does it hold up? I think it does. Like, if you want to see Dolph Lundgren just kick some ass, he really does. And of course, like, he goes and kind of adds an interesting wrinkle to his character. It's like, okay, so a drummer so a drummer's kicking ass. Well, yeah, well, supposedly he's a former American commando kind of thing. I really don't want to give much away, but it's a very good layered character, which is the best thing that really shines above, head and shoulders above the rest of this movie, because the villain, way too cliche. The president character, the main hostage, I thought it was also a little cliche, but also I find that, like, okay, interesting wrinkle is that, he brought his daughters here because this is a command performance. That's hence the title, Command Performance. If you don't know what command performance is, essentially it's a show requested by royalty, where it's a concert or a sporting event. In other words, kind of like Crown Jewel that for WWE, when the Saudis ask for him to come perform for them. So yeah, good. And so yeah, there's a little example for you. So yeah, I will admit, like, again, there's some way too much cookie cutter moments, some cliche stuff, but there's some interesting, like, things that kind of twist around as the story goes on. It's like, okay, wait a minute, what just happened? Oh, we got a reporter here. I'm like, okay, but hold on, is she an American or a Russian reporter? She's a Russian reporter, but she still speaks perfect English. I was like, there's some moments I'm like, wait a minute. I got really confused as the movie went on, but man, when it comes to like things like being almost like a diehard clone, I feel like it's good, but not as good as Die Hard. But again, everyone's gonna say, it's set in a concert. I'm like, dude, I feel like this is a better saying than a business building kind of thing. But hey, this is Dolph Lundgren's baby. This is Dolph Lundgren's dream. And yeah, I feel like he had the idea, had some legs. Like at least his performance shines above everything else. But everything else just kind of just falls a little bit. The pop diva princess character Venus, I feel like she's way too stereotypical, and like just made me just go, oh my god, I do not like this character. But there's some moments of brilliance that kind of turn her around. Like there's a moment where, like, hey, she can actually hold her own, she can fire a gun and all this good stuff. And I was like, oh wow, make her a badass. So there you go. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say. Like the final act, like, is pretty good, like something like he gets on her. There's some good stuff. The bad guy, well, when it comes to the death of the bad guy, it's so anticlimactic, but it's a good all around way to just finally wrap everything up, all the loose ends up, and just say, okay, this is how it's gonna happen. This is how the guy's trying to get his revenge. But then again, this is how the villain gets his just desserts. So there you go. I'd say give it a watch. Like, I found myself to really enjoy this movie. It's available on Freevee. It's also available on Tubi, I believe. All right, and yeah, I think you might like it. If you love Dolph Lundgren, you will enjoy this movie. All right, and I encourage you all to find D2, download the song, because it kicks. I'm just saying. All right. With that in mind, I'm going to give Command Performance, I'm going to give it a solid 7. That's as best as I'm going to do. All right. So that does it for this week. Go give it a watch. Let me know what you think. Thumbs up videos, subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for some more awesome videos. And ladies and gentlemen, I will be dropping a special Christmas themed episode. And of course, why not? Let's end the year 2022 with another Dolph Lundgren movie, another quote unquote Christmas movie, as I call it, then Rocky IV. Oh yeah. I'll see you then, folks.